A credibility builder against the San Francisco 49ers. Welcome to the party.
What's up, everybody? I'm Luke Braun. I do Locked On Vikings, and my bets are cursed. I seek to weaponize this in the future.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan for the Wide Left Substack. My bets are not cursed, and because I'm taking the minimum, I'm not winning either.
Hey, Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. MVP candidate Sam Darnold. Let's talk about it.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hasan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
Welcome in a Victory Monday on the Minnesota Football Party, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making us your first Victory Monday watch or listen. We appreciate that. For your second listen, check out Luke Braun, daily Vikings content, Locked On Vikings podcast feed. That's where you find the audio of this show, the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. 23-17, Vikings beat the Niners. They are 2-0, and this is mind-blowing, for the first time since 2016. And Sam Darnold looking the part. Vikings
And we all know how good that year was, yeah.
Ended well. Look out. Yeah, protect your eyes, Kevin O'Connell. Wear some goggles protectively. We're going to give...
Who's getting fired at midnight this time?
Resign. He resigned.
Look out, Wes Phillips. Look out, Kevin O'Connell's eyes. We're going to give all the flowers. There's so many contributors in yesterday's win. We're going to try and give hat tips to all or most of them. Talk about this defense, which has been unbelievable through 2 weeks, nerdy stats, and in the 4-minute drill, we're going to re-predict the Vikings win-loss record because I think we might have to move the goalposts. I also got this great stat from my San Francisco 49ers buddy, Ross. Shout out, Ross. If this is true, it's kind of wild. Brock Purdy is 0-2 against the Vikings and 14-0 against the rest of the NFC.
Regular season, yeah.
Regular season. Vikings have his number. That's incredible. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Missed the postcast yesterday, Luke Inman. I was at the game. It was steamy. U.S. Bank Stadium. Had a nice all-22 view. Shout out Section 308. Shout out Jess and Ben, who came to the game with us. The 97-yard touchdown. Got to be one of my... And you were at the Miracle game, I think, Inman. I was there in the press box. Like, that's obviously, like, as good as it gets. But in terms of in-game, in-stadium moments, the 97-yard touchdown, it's up there. Like, it's one of the coolest ones that I've witnessed. Like, the length that the play took, the explosive nature, the throw, the run, the referee checking downfield.
Yeah.
It had all the ingredients. What was the discussion like on the postcast about the bomb to Jefferson and just in general, your takeaways after yesterday's really nice win?
Yeah, JJ turned what was probably normally like an 11-second play into like a 48-second play, the way he just razzled and dazzled around the field. Yeah, the ref got a huge viral shout-out up on Twitter. Jalen Naylor probably got a little bit lost in the discussion. He probably should have got a little bit more love. But
that was great.
You know, what we talked about kind of just with Ron Johnson and obviously Luke Braun on the postcast was like it was crazy how actually lopsided that game was once you get past the box score. I mean, you don't fumble at the goal line. It's probably 27-7. You maybe recover that muff punt by San Francisco. People kind of probably already forgot about. that probably turns into more points. They just dominated everything in this game except the time of possession. When those long drives went on and on by San Francisco's offense, they got the fourth down stops. They dominated on third down on both sides of the ball. They outrushed them on the ground, and they just made life miserable for Brock Purdy. 6 sacks. They confused him all game. He went up to Flores after the game, said, yo, man, that scheme is crazy, dude. That scheme is crazy. So it was just a great team win. I mean, they went toe-to-toe. They went blow for blow with the NFC champs. They came out victorious. They checked a lot of boxes, I think, yesterday. Like, this was the litmus test I talked about that we all wanted to see after week 1. Yeah, week 1 was fun, but we all kind of knew in the back of our minds that's going to be one of the worst teams, I think, in that bottom tier in the NFL, that Giants team. So I think this was a great litmus test. And again, I think they checked a lot of boxes and passed a lot of things with flying colors. It was a really great team win.
Yeah, there's so many, obviously, big performers, high-profile performers from the win. But I think yesterday was a day for X factors. I mean, there are 12, 13, 14 guys that you want to mention that kind of flew under the radar, like Theo Jackson recovering a punt, C.J. Ham with the punt block, Ty Chandler running his butt off yesterday, 82 yards on 10 carries. It was outstanding and really overshadowed Aaron Jones, I thought. But Luke Braun, just contributors all over the board, offense, defense, special teams. This is the kind of complementary football that's so often. I mean, you'd listen to Kirk Cousins at the podium, not like it was his fault all the time, but he would say, or Mike Zimmer or KOC saying, we just didn't marry up the offense and the defense. We didn't play complementary football today. That was the case last year, right? Like the offensive performances got squandered by a bad defense and vice versa. And through 2 games, all 3 units coming together.
Hey, you always say, like, come on, someone step up and make a play. Like, I felt like I was screaming that at my TV a whole bunch last year, especially in that, like, second half, that kind of mid-third quarter lull there always was. They'd get some big lead. They would just, like, and then they would just fall apart. There'd either be turnovers or, like, quick 3-and-outs, and then, scoring drive the other way, and suddenly they'd let the team back in it. And you just kind of felt that happening. And especially that last one, I talked about this on the postcast too, that last major offensive drive where it was like, this is with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, leading by 6. This is where you could set your watch by them last year, going quick 3-and-out and punting, and then giving up a 10-play drive the other way to lose the game. And no, they got down to third down, but they converted one to Brandon Powell, and then they got down to third down again, and you had that great strike to Jalen Naylor on the back shoulder seam ball. And then they got down to third down another time and converted it again to Powell over the middle on a quick strike in the red zone. And at that point, were it not for like situational football, they've had a good chance to score. False start turns it into a 1st and goal on the 10, but by that point, they're not really interested in throwing the ball at all.
Chandler trying to throw to Munt got blown up, but that would have been sweet.
That would have been a really funny way to put an exclamation point on it. But, he ate that, and that was correct.
I leaned over to my buddy, and I said, all right, I think they're at the 5. No, they're at the 10. They're at the 10, and I said, all right, just run 3 times, kick it and win. And he's like, yep, that's got to be the play. First play, halfback pass.
And that was actually marked down in the box score as a halfback pass too. Some of those,
he's sacked. He's sacked.
It's a sack.
Yeah, it's a sack.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah.
QBR of 1.3 yesterday. Ty Chandler, give it up.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll put him at. Where's Jaron Hall when you need him?
How can you not be romantic about Jalen Naylor and Brandon Powell? Like Braun said, you needed all 3 of the third downs. You felt like that was the one opportunity the Niners had to steal the game. And Darnold stands in there, and not short third downs either. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and then the 3rd and 2 when you're getting into the scoring area. They took up 7 minutes, and it became such that a field goal literally won the game for you. If that's a shorter drive, field goal may or may not be enough. But that was absolutely the game clincher, probably the biggest scoring drive of the game. I loved Sam Darnold yesterday, with the exception of the boneheaded, like, backwards flip on first play of the game, which made no sense. Interception wasn't great. Fred Warner's a baller. But I'm giving props to Sam Darnold. I'm again willing to admit when I appear to be wrong. It has been an excellent 2 games. Now these are in a little bit. We're going to dissect this a little bit more, Darnold versus Cousins. But there are definitely some things that we're seeing from Darnold that are on par, if not better, than what we would get from Kirk Cousins. Now, the question is consistency, but Darnold, again, yesterday, fantastic. I'm giving my flowers to Sam Darnold. I'm giving him a big bouquet. I'm selecting the expensive flowers, not like the cheap arrangements, big roses. And
You're not just going to the grocery store, huh? You're going to a florist.
I'm going to a florist.
Supporting a small business.
A big one that's the size of his torso.
Florist.
And,
Christ.
Sam, you called out
I'm
the
sorry.
kind of two quote-unquote boneheaded plays. And I will say that Fred Warner's going to Fred Warner, man.
It's hard to be too mad at that one. He
Yeah,
thought he
good
tested a
decision.
window. He thought he said after the game, he's like, yeah, I probably could have been safer with that one, but I thought I had it. And it's like, well, he just made a crazy play.
I don't know where that was going if
I
Fred
don't know
Warner
where that
wasn't
was
there
going
though.
either.
So
Like,
Kirk
not a
would
great
miss a lot.
decision.
Like
Not a
Kirk
great
would be
decision.
blind to a linebacker 3 or 4 times a year. Like we've seen Kirk make that same mistake and other quarterbacks too. Just
He got his colors mixed up once. Like he said that. I'm not making that up to be hyper. He was like, "Oh yeah, I thought it was Jefferson. It was just a guy wearing blue."
Was that the Bill? What was
Yeah, the Bills
guy
game.
wearing blue.
He just literally threw straight to the DB.
Yeah, he just forgot who was who.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was tough. That was tough. But in general, though, Sam, too, like you're Sam Darnold's going to just have this a little bit more of a gunslinger mentality, especially like under Zim. Kirk Cousins got so honed in on I cannot turn the ball over. I have to be careful with this ball. And if it comes down to like a 50-50 kind of throw it up, he just, for the most part, he would. I mean, Kirk Cousins, and I know we're getting into this conversation later. Kirk Cousins was the guy with the season on the line. Instead of just chucking it up to JJ, okay, he's double covered. He's going to throw to the check down and throw to the flat and TJ Hawkinson and hope he can make a play. So, again, just Sam Darnold, yes. I know you called out the 2 boneheaded plays. I think Fred Warner is just going to Fred Warner once in a while. Still don't think it was a good decision by any means. My thing was going back to the first bonehead play where he just kind of alley-ooped one into the backfield. Like, what are you doing? He kind of just flushed it and moved on. Like the old Sam Darnold with the Jets especially was just like, that would just eat at him, and the rest of the game would just kind of buckle and crumble and unfold right beneath his feet. You didn't see that yesterday. 2 really bad plays, but for the most part, he just flushed it and moved on, which I think is a testament to the coaching and just his surroundings he's had around him all summer, going back to, not just KOC, but the McCown factor and things like that. Chirping in his ear, you got to flush this and move on. So I thought that was really good to see too.
It's grounding to see that he still has the idiot stuff in him a little bit.
Right.
Where it's like, this is still Sam Darnold. Okay,
Right.
you're not waiting for the other shoe to drop so much. Like that was the other shoe right there. We just overcame it. All right. That feels more real than if he just made no mistakes and then suddenly played super great football and you're going, where's the guy I know?
Right. I know you're in there. Yeah.
I'd like to give props to the indiscriminate play calling of Kevin O'Connell 2 weeks in a row, calling for the bomb from his own end zone and completing it to Justin Jefferson. 99
putting it
yard
on
drive,
tape.
90
Yeah.
yard drives
Putting it on tape.
in back-to-back weeks. That was sick.
And it's funny, that play, the way O'Connell talked about it after the game, that play, I don't think it's really ever supposed to go to Jefferson unless the 49ers mess up, which they did. That one usually goes to Naylor on a big crosser over the middle, which was also open. So it was there the way it was supposed to. It was just that Darnold saw that the safety screwed up and took a bigger opportunity. But that's still a shot play, basically.
Right, and it's worth pointing out that a lot of quarterbacks don't check the alert on plays like that, and I think that it is important that before Kevin O'Connell arrived, Kirk Cousins might not check that. Kirk Cousins would just throw to Naylor on the crosser prior to Kevin O'Connell's arrival, right? It's important to acknowledge that this, when we talk about creative quarterbacks, we're not just talking about the ability to scramble and move around in the pocket. It's also stuff like that where it's
where you can be opportunistic and punish weird movements from D-backs.
I will say
or
too, Aaron,
opening your hips the wrong way or whatever.
Yeah, on that big bomb play, Aaron Jones with a great pass pro rep there too, just to give him that clean pocket and let him step up there as well. I've been really impressed with Aaron Jones. I've been really impressed with just the complete game. It's been a while, guys. Even AP, okay, you're a Hall of Famer, but why can't you catch these these little dump offs in the flat sometimes? We just haven't had a complete back, I feel in a while, and Aaron Jones has impressed me a lot through 2 weeks. You got me thinking, Sam, is that the longest play from scrimmage at U.S. Bank Stadium because there's actually a
At
defensive
U.S.
play.
Bank, yes.
Oh, well, there's a defensive play I'm thinking about. But
Xavier
again,
Rhodes.
There was
Xavier
a
Rhodes?
Rhodes, yeah.
Xavier
That was
Rhodes.
like
Carson
Speaking of
Palmer.
2016,
Calls Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
Right.
Arizona, right?
Arizona.
Yeah.
That was the game.
Good
that
memory,
snapped
Sam.
the
Sam
losing
had that
streak.
locked and loaded. He was ready for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, offensive play for sure, and I think it's the longest since Farad Tabarian. It's got to
That
be.
feels right. That
Yeah.
Farad
feels-
Well,
Tabarian,
except
the gold
the-
standard.
yeah. Or
Right.
yeah.
So, two flowers for me to give. One to Pat Jones, who I've been dumping on since he's arrived in Minnesota, but certainly this last offseason. And last week, where I was like, hey, I don't know, some of these pressures are kind of fake. And mind you, one of the sacks from Pat Jones was kind of fake. Sure. The other sack was pure talent and skill, running through Trent Williams, a Hall of Fame left tackle. Fantastic work. Also, killer job in the run game. My God. Pat Jones putting in absolute work. Is Patrick Jones too good? Burrito Bill asks in the comments. I don't know yet. But he had a good game. You can't take
fact
that
that
away.
he's
Very good game
doubling-
against a good line.
Doubling Dallas Turner in snaps would suggest that they like him more than Dallas Turner right now. Like he's edge three.
I think there's like pretty good reason.
Got
I
4
mean,
sacks.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got 4 sacks, man.
I think like in terms of run defense, Jones seems to pretty clearly clear Dallas Turner. It does not seem like the Vikings don't even put Turner in on like obvious running downs. Like it's like pretty obvious like what they're trying to do with Turner at the moment. The second props I want to give, Jonathan Grenard. I mean, he doesn't get in the box score, but you just like if you just watch him, like just like really quickly watch a couple of Brock. He's like active. He's always creating for others. He's like when you've got a stunt, he's the penetrator, not the looper, which means that he's not getting the stat. He's not getting the pressure. He's not getting the hit. He's opening something up. He also, I think, led the team in pressures on top of that, right? But he was like really effective at getting in the backfield, creating for others, doing a lot of the stuff up front that you need from linemen to kind of manufacture a 6-sack game that, you're not necessarily going to be the one that grabs those stats. So Grenard, Pat Jones, both of them, really, really wonderful games.
Yeah, throw Ward in that mix too. I know he didn't play a lot. He didn't have a lot of snaps. But just in whole top to bottom, that room, right? That pass rushing edge grouping just feels not only pretty star-studded at the top with Van Ginkel and Grenard, but just deep too, man. Just this nice rotation to be able to do a lot of different things with a lot of different guys. That's really nice. How about the home field advantage? Sam, you were there. I got to imagine, not just on the 97-yard bomb, it was just rocking, but like, KOC talked about that a lot. Like, dude, we got to get our home. We went 2-6 last year at home. Unacceptable. We got to start turning this home field advantage, which I think you go like more nationally wide. Like the Vikings are known to be in that top third in like home field advantage, even going back to the Metrodome.
Yeah.
So that place had to be rocking. There was a few times during that game, more so defensively, like I turned to my wife. I was like, that place, I just got to imagine like the roof is about to blow off that place right now. It just felt like a huge advantage, not only home field wise. And again, you went 2-6 last year. You got to be able to reestablish that like home field dominance again. And it's like, it's true. Great teams don't go 2-6 at home. Like the elite teams dominate at home every year. So I know it's one game. I know it was like the home opener. That place was all jacked up. But I really think Sam, you were there. You saw it up close and personal. But the Vikings, am I being a homer when I say we got some of the best fans in the NFL?
I mean, great crowd.
on.
Yes.
Of course not.
Yes. No, come on.
Also,
Everyone
not.
says that.
the Vikings fans.
The
also
Chargers
sold-
do not say that. There's no
The
way
Vikings
that-
have
they-
to be like
they-
at least top 10 in crowd noise false starts cost.
I agree.
that
Yeah.
happens a lot. Or timeouts.
Like, take into account that the 49ers bought 30% of the tickets. I mean, we sold 30%.
Oh,
of the
there was a
stadium,
lot of red.
and
A lot of
still-
red. They
Yeah,
got
I
pretty
can vouch-
quiet though.
I can vouch for that. It felt like in my area, it felt like there were pretty big cheers for San Francisco when they did something. I actually like having the competing vibe a little bit. I think it just makes for a more fun atmosphere. But even with maybe only 45,000 Vikings fans there, they were still juiced up. And that's because when you play from in front, it just changes everything. It just makes every third down feel that much cooler and more pivotal, like for the 49ers. So, yeah, they were – and that was my other flowers to give. Niners, 3 of 13 on third or fourth down yesterday. And Shanny was turning into Dan Campbell. He was going for everything early in that game, and the Vikings withstood almost all of it. And it was a weird game in that the Niners had the ball most of the game, but they didn't convert third downs. It's just the Vikings had really short drives. They had a 1-play drive. They had a 2-play drive. They had the hurry-up drive. And the Niners had all the possession but really couldn't move the chains, in part because, Luke, like you said, crowd noise, I think, was throwing them a little bit off their tempo.
Yeah, 6 sacks, 2 turnovers. I mean, Josh Metellus called it out in the locker room. KOC at the podium, the first 30 seconds of his presser, talking about the crowd noise. Again, I just feel like they have a real advantage when they play at home. And yesterday was just a fun reminder of that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give flowers to Metellus and Cashman, both of whom I thought were just flying around. Cashman had an unbelievable game. But Metellus got that tip drill interception, and then Van Ginkel again, who tipped the Gink.
Fourth down.
He was there on the fourth down at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
Well, he disrupted 2 screens in this game, right?
He almost picked off a screen for a touchdown again twice. What?
Yeah.
Stop doing that, guys. Don't do it to him now. You can't anymore. You just can't screen that way anymore.
Yeah.
You got to check out of it.
Yeah, it's like now when you line up at the line of scrimmage, your eyes have to go to 2 places. 1, where's Harrison Smith? Okay, now that you know where he is, disregard that because he's not going to be there when you snap the ball. 2, where's Andrew Van Ginkel? Can't throw a screen in that direction.
2 very fun deflection plays in this game. The triple tip on the pick to Metellus, and then the tip off of Van Ginkel in the hands of Samuel, which helped the Vikings out a ton. Because
that was really funny.
Him
Bat
catching
that down.
that turned
Dude,
it into
Metellus on that triple tip pass threw one of his teammates. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just
he threw Bynum. He threw Bynum.
Oh, it was
Bynum. Yeah, he was like, I've got this.
Yeah,
this one's going to be mine, thanks. I got incentives.
After losing the turnover battle last year, like we did, screw it. I'm just gonna take over and figure it out. Like somebody's got to step up. Throws Bynum to the ground and goes, nope, that's mine. Gimme.
We keep
hold on. I gotta address something in chat.
All right.
So okay, oops, 61869. Our D line sucks, huh, Arif? Hey, my argument was about the defensive tackles. Have we mentioned one? Man, we don't talk about edge rushers, safeties, linebackers. Come on. I'm still worried.
We'll
about
get our
those
Harrison
defensive
Phillips
tackles.
moment was then. It's okay.
I do like Harrison Phillips. He was great last game too.
Phillips
so.
was good.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob Zenner asked about the DTs as well, with Levi inactive, Redmond inactive. Taki only played 13 snaps, had a good TFL, I believe. But, yeah, the DTs are still, I think, a work in progress, but they are holding up in the run game pretty well. I think, by the way, Jordan Mason, legit back. Jordan Mason can, if McCaffrey is out for any extended period of time, Jordan Mason is good. His vision.
Very decisive.
He's a dude.
Really impressive.
Well, he's got some muscle, too. He's a tank to bring down, too. Once he gets in that zone, one cut, boom, gets moving downhill, he's a tank to bring down, too. He's a big dude.
No doubt about that. More Darnold discussion, and are we getting from Darnold what we would have hoped to get from Kirk Cousins? That comes up next on the Minnesota Football Party. We're brought to you today by Prize Picks. I know a lot of you had major Prize Picks entries in the mix yesterday, because why wouldn't you? The NFL season. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You got flex plays. You can play straight up. You can take advantage of the Caleb Williams promotion, which, again, he barely surpasses the 1 yard that he needs, but he gets you a win with 1 yard every week in September. So that's 4 weeks of free W's on Caleb Williams. Just add other winning entries to your ticket and watch the money roll in. They pay quickly within 15 minutes on Prize Picks. And with the flex play, you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect, which is a nice little perk. Double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. We are also brought to you today by DoorDash. Game day's better with DoorDash. I'm convinced of that. I know the deal. You get home on Sunday. Maybe you're at the gym. You get home. It's 11:30. The game starts in a half an hour. You don't want to make lunch. You don't want to make appetizers yourself. You want to order it. You want to make sure that it's convenient so you're locked in from the opening kickoff. You're not in the kitchen trying to get lunch together. That's exactly why DoorDash brings you the best drinks, the best snacks, the best food, the best desserts. Go nuts. Put together the ultimate spread for your Sunday game day at-home tailgate. Use promo code LOCKEDFALL24 for $50 off up to a $10 value when you spend $15+ on your first order. Limited time offer. Terms apply. Promo is not valid for orders containing alcohol. DoorDash, your door to game day greatness. Your door to more. Download the DoorDash app now to order your game day favorites. Must be 21 plus to order alcohol. Drink responsibly. Alcohol available only in select markets. Thanks to the everydayers who watch every day here at Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's a great lineup. Ron Johnson has Adam Weber on his show tomorrow. He'll also be reacting to the Vikings. We're going to have a football special now on Wednesdays for the next 4 to 6 weeks while we await the return of the NBA season. So more football here in Locked On Sports Minnesota, and we do this live every Monday and Thursday. Please subscribe at the Locked On Sports Minnesota channel. All right, Sam Darnold versus Kirk Cousins. Obviously, it's all tilting in Darnold's direction right now with the 2-0 start. Kirk looked terrible, the even foot business, which, Braun, I don't know if you were the impetus for this, but I mean, that
seems like
that I
think it started from my 1:30 a.m. tweet.
Yeah.
But the reason it went so crazy, like turbo platinum, was a viral TikTok that then got picked up by whatever show Chris Sims is on.
Yeah,
and
some
then
NBC sort of affiliate, maybe. I don't know.
It's like an NBC, yeah, one of the NBC sports radio shows. And then you had like Falcons journalists asking him about it in the press conference.
Hey,
but it looks like they're going to go on under center this week. They were seen practicing.
How Trubisky throw left happened, right? You know, some random tweet gets picked up, ends up on like Nick Wright's show. They start asking the Bears about it, and Trubisky's like, "Yeah, I got to get better at throwing left." So
yeah,
yeah, Luke Brown, that was it. Yeah.
I learned about this. My dad, who listens to this show, told me the history of this. It used to be pronounced that way for us. I mean, it was a German family, right? So it would be pronounced like with a German Brown pronunciation. Until my dad was in track in high school, and they kept like flip-flopping the way that they pronounced it, and people would say Braun because it looks like the like brand that we're all familiar with, and we just kind of went with that.
Our Patriots host has a similar situation. His name, it's D''ABATE. Mike Debate is how he calls it, but if you ask him, he's like, yeah, well, it's actually Diabate. But that was
it's very clearly Diabate.
Right. But just basically for like ease of explaining how to say the name, he's decided that Debate is good. And I that's interesting how the evolution and maybe just the laziness that we have in like pronouncing names. Anyway, Sam Darnold, that's an easy one to say. He's outplayed Kirk Cousins through 2 weeks. Kirk plays tonight in his second game. But what are you liking? Like, let's just compare the skill sets.
Well, Sam Darnold can move. That helps.
Yeah.
He's slippery. You know, other than running himself into Bosa yesterday, 3 or 4 plays.
Which we've seen Kirk Cousins do, so.
Correct. I think a better spidey sense for the pocket collapsing, knowing where his, like, kind of outlet is to get free. Picked up a couple first downs with his legs, including a pretty heads-up one before halftime where I was afraid he was going to, keep running and just run out of time. But
there was a lane.
Yeah.
If clock weren't a thing, like you could have tried. You could argue that you could have tried.
Like 7 more yards there if it wasn't for clock. Yeah, he was like, I gotta get down.
Like if you look, like the broadcast showed a replay that was kind of like from behind, and it was like, oh, you could race to the pylon, but you probably won't win, but you could try. Mm-hmm. Nah, just get down. There's 3 seconds left.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a sneaky big drive too after San Francisco had scored on you, but obviously he's more slippery. I think there's an effortlessness to his arm strength. Like the pass
Yes.
to Jefferson, 56 yards in the air, and I didn't even feel like he leaned into it all the way. I think that he's kind of got a hair better arm strength. That doesn't speak to the accuracy necessarily, which has been good through the first 2 games. No qualms about that either. But I think he's got a little more arm strength, to be honest with you.
Can I speak to that for a second?
Yes.
I think he's got quite a bit more arm strength, but the reason it doesn't always result in higher ball velocity, which it does often, because Sam does have better arm strength, but is because Kirk Cousins is so mechanically sound, or was before the injury, that he was able to generate all of the force he needed on most of his throws. He was even mechanically sound when he was throwing on the run. Darnold isn't always as mechanically sound, but he makes up for it by having a somewhat substantially more amount of natural arm strength, so he doesn't need to complete the kinetic chain to get the same velocity. It's also one reason he's a little bit less accurate than Cousins, because he's used to not needing to perfect that kind of kinetic chain, which gives you more control. So I think he's got quite a bit more arm strength. It just doesn't always result in the ball flying that much faster because of the other kind of knock-on effects of having more arm strength.
I thought his throw to Naylor on the 3rd and 8, fourth quarter, back shoulder, I thought it was his best of the day. He put that
was
between
fantastic.
4 49ers.
Play of the day for me.
Nuts.
That was that's a big time throw. That's got to be a
And
PFF.
he
big time
talked
throw.
about that one on the podium, about like where he chose to place that one, and it was very much a like trust your guys moment, where that's not usually that ball would be kind of catching him in stride, or it would go like up and over and you'd catch him in the bucket, but because of the way the defenders were, you couldn't do that, so you had to place it on the back shoulder, trust Jalen Naylor to turn around, kind of recognize the same thing, and at least expect it enough to be able to make the adjustment he had to make for that catch, and it worked out great. So great play from Naylor too.
He is 5th in the league right now in adjusted net yards per attempt, 8.31 through 2 games. His career, Anya, coming into Minnesota, 5.02. So either he has turned a significant corner with KOC, or he's going to come crashing back to earth, which for my brand would be great, but which you guys haven't dunked on me as much as I thought you would today. I thought there'd be a lot more vitriol coming my way. It's probably in the comments. I haven't looked at them for a while. Dunk
Not
on
a
me if you
ton.
want.
It's just you're
Giving Sam
obviously
Darnold
wrong,
flowers. That's all we
know?
wanted.
Yeah.
You're right. I can admit when I'm wrong. Luke Inman, what do you foresee? Because I don't think there's anything that's super unsustainable about these 2 Darnold performances. It's not like he's lighting up the box score. It's not like every throw he makes is eye of a needle, like he's not going to make them again. It seems like it's a sustainable model right now that they're running with Darnold.
Yeah, I think so too. Like you can tell he's gaining some confidence now with the offensive weapons around him that he's never had, no matter what spot he's been at. And just between like KOC and McCown, they just have him in this like rhythm right now. I don't think he's ever been in. Like his feet, the upper body, he's been able to speed up his process, and it just feels like every drop back, he just knows where he's supposed to go with the ball right away. And if it's not there, okay, he knows the second read. And if that's not there, all right, maybe it's time to make a play with his feet. It's just his play style, even going back to USC. Like he's just more of a, comparing him to Cousins, he's just more of this gunslinger mentality, kind of quote unquote playmaker. You're going to get some bad picks, right? We already talked about like the 2 kind of boneheaded plays. You're going to see some bad plays too, like we saw yesterday. That's just part of the territory. But like also you look at the landscape and like the other quarterbacks around the league, the other quote unquote gunslingers like that, he ain't the only one making a bonehead throw or play or 2, right? I mean, all these guys who like run around, try to improvise, make plays with their feet outside the pocket, they all throw some bad picks. I mean, Mahomes has like 2 or 3 terrible picks already this year. It's the pros and the cons. Like I love the mobility too that Arif brought up. Darnold brings to the table this just kind of new element, this just kind of new component that is so deflating for a defense when it's 3rd and long, you got everybody covered, you called the right play, you're executing this thing to perfection, and then the quarterback leaks out, steals a first down, extends the drive. Like those are such backbreakers for defenses. And Darnold gives you that a couple times a game, which I think is like just enough to keep teams thinking about it in the back of their mind. And you know, Kirk Cousins obviously was not very mobile. I mean, he was pretty much a statue in the pocket. He never really gave you any of that. Maybe twice a season, maybe. You know, everybody thinks about that Cardinals little scamper, 22-yard scamper that he scored.
He got better at it in the last couple of years. Was like that was O'Connell's emphasis for him, was to like be more willing to move around.
What I was going to say is, under Zimmer, he started one season. I want to say it was his second season under Zimmer, and he had like 4 or 5 fumbles in the first like 3 or 4 games. And I think Zimmer probably behind the scenes got really in his head and was like, dude, you cannot do that. You got to take care of the football. We can't lose the turnover battle like that. And after that, under the Zimmer era, he really became a statue in the pocket and just did not scramble much outside and improvise with his feet. Under KOC, you did start to see that kind of revive a little bit in his play style. But
even when he did, it was very unnatural. Like it was something that he had
chaotic.
It was
chaotic. And like the way that Kirk Cousins learns, it had to be like very deliberate. Everything has to be kind of written down and prepared. Right. He never had the improv gene. And like for me, it wasn't so much mobility. When he would get out and run, he could chew up the yards in front of him just fine. But it was the ability to think on his feet and improvise that just never gelled with his brain. Like I remember the article Arif wrote on his book that just like shows that by like Kirk Cousins wrote a book about like, and a lot of it was about like how he prepares and how he has to kind of have everything memorized.
Yeah.
Like taking a test because you memorized
very
the
mechanical.
flashcards.
Yeah.
But the second you're off the rails, that's when the weird stuff would start happening. That's when you'd get a stupid strip sack. That's when he would throw an idiot interception. Like that's when all the worst stuff would happen. Sam Darnold has always had that ability to play hero ball a little bit, and he leans on it too much, and we're trying to dial that back. It's a totally different game, and in dialing that back, I think O'Connell has gotten the best play out of him.
Yeah,
right. I think Zimmer said this about defensive back play, about trying to get defensive backs who play fast. It's easier to say whoa than go. You'd rather have a playmaker that you'd want to dial down than...
I think it's like all athletics, honestly.
Honestly, yeah. But yeah, you'd rather have a playmaker that you'd rather dial down rather than kind of a by-the-book stodgy, you're trying to get this guy to play up. Which, again, O'Connell did get Cousins to be a little bit more of a feel-it type athlete, but there's just only so much that you can do in order to kind of extract that. And sometimes it's just like it's just like how, as you've grown up, how your brain has wired itself, right?
Right.
Like, so it's just... If you're constantly living within structure, checking things before you go, etc., it's going to be difficult to adapt.
Yeah, very mechanical.
They get punched in the mouth.
Very, very mechanical, very robotic. He made a living off that, though. And then again, I mean, he was really good at it. Don't get me wrong, but you're totally right. Like once the play broke down, like all of a sudden everything started to go haywire. And I think you just look at the landscape of the league with these quarterbacks. There's just not a lot of true pure pocket quarterbacks anymore. So yeah, there's guys who definitely want to stay in the pocket as much as possible. They want to, try to beat you with their arm first and foremost, like the Justin Herberts. Like, I want to beat you with my arm in the pocket, but if I need to, I have this threat with my legs. And when the play breaks down, I just feel like it's such an advantage for your quarterback to have that threat with his feet and make you pay, defensively, make you pay 2-3 times a game. Sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes that's the difference in a close game.
Inman, because you teased it in the cold open, I looked up the MVP odds.
Oh, boy.
This feels like a slow adjustment by FanDuel. There are 22 quarterbacks with better MVP odds than Sam Darnold, including 0-2 Trevor Lawrence, 0-2 Anthony Richardson, somehow 1-1 Deshaun Watson, but terrible.
Yeah.
2 is hurt. We don't know if he's going to play again. Kirk, like, that. There's no steam on it.
2 is on the board?
2 is on the board.
I could make a bet on Tua winning MVP right now. Yeah, that's pretty slow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing my Dolphins colors, so clearly I want to. But
I can't imagine a lot of people are going for MVP bets in week 2.
I will say, too, this might be tough because the defense has been so dominant these first 2 weeks. There's a factor where it's like, quarterback MVP, not only do you have to put up all the statistics, but you have to be that guy who kind of put the team on your back, right? And clearly, like, without this, for you take this person out of the equation, how many less games would you win? I still feel like with this, the way the Vikings defense has played just through 2 weeks here, small sample, but so far it feels like this defense is going to keep this team in a lot of games this year and at least be competitive on a week-to-week basis. So that still surprises me, though. That is wildly low. Having said all that, that's
a Sam
crazy.
Darnold nerdy stat of the day about his job facing the blitz thus far, plus more defensive appreciation when we return on the Minnesota Football Party. We are brought to you today by Game Time. It's the easiest, most convenient way to get tickets, whether it is sports, comedy, theater, and more in your area. Yesterday, used Game Time, got those Vikings tickets, had a great experience. Always do with Game Time. With Game Time picks, they filter out the fluff. They show you incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time sifting through thousands of tickets. The curation makes it easy. Just a couple clicks, you've got your tickets. You toggle into all-in pricing. You don't see those hidden fees. It's just a very user-friendly experience with Game Time. I've used it a lot. I'm always checking out prices. There were some awesome deals for the Twins and Reds over the weekend. Gophers, Nevada. Get in the door there for like lower-level seats under $30. Unbelievable. And they've got the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry, so take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Game time.
Time for America's favorite segment.
Analytics fans rejoice. It's time to get educated
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
with the nerdy stat of the day.
Who am I? I'm going to give more props to Sam Darnold and the Vikings pass protection.
2 weeks in, and Sam is losing his sense of identity.
My alter ego is coming out. Through 2 games, Sam Darnold has been blitzed 10 times. He has completed 9 passes, 3 of them touchdowns, no picks.
Jesus.
And one of those plays that was blitzed was the 2nd and 9 in his own end zone, 97 yards to Jefferson. What a pocket. I mean, he had an absolute halo of protection around him. No pressure.
It was a great pocket. It was good protection. Admittedly, it wouldn't have looked as good if he didn't step up. It was a team effort there to create.
He had his part.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks own their pressure, and they own their clean pockets a little bit.
Yeah, so
Speaking of lessons from Kirk Cousins.
So a bunch of good work, backed up on the goal line, throwing a
Yeah.
deep shot. Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty low blitz rate against Sam Darnold as well. I would have expected teams to pressure him more.
Seems like for a good reason.
Yeah. Just in this game, this was going to be mine. I can pull another one. Just in this game, 3 for 3 against the blitz, 126 yards, a perfect 158.3 passer rating.
Wow.
Helps to have one for 97.
So this is not my nerdy stat, but I do want to point out, in the last show, we were talking about how it seems kind of unlikely that Brian Flores would blitz Brock Purdy a bunch. And, there's a good reason for that. It seems like it would be a bad idea. Wrong! 51.3% blitz rate. Brock Purdy was much worse against the blitz than he wasn't against the blitz, at least when Brian Flores is the one sending the blitz. Also notable, again, also not my nerdy stat, might as well, but the season low, or the game low number for Brock Purdy's play action dropbacks is 3. He is at that 3 times in his career. Twice against Brian Flores' Vikings.
He's got the secret sauce. Even go back to Miami. Shanahan couldn't deal with him.
Crazy scheme.
Yeah. When I come away from watching these full games of Brock Purdy against the Vikings, which we've now done in back-to-back years, I feel very lukewarm about him. Like, he delivers the ball from clean pockets well. It's not.
You should put that take on Twitter. See what happens.
I should. I try to avoid vitriol in general.
Putting opinions on Twitter, yeah, good call.
But
Next, you'll post pictures of food, man. It's wild.
Yeah, post pictures of your barbecue and see how it goes.
It's wild.
We started the show with it. San Fran fan Buddy Ross told me he's 0-2 against the Vikings in the regular season, 14-0 against every other NFC team. That's a little bonus nerdy stat of the day. Luke Inman, what do you got?
Yeah, this one comes from Alec Lewis from The Athletic. 2 weeks into the NFL season, here's where the Vikings rank on the ground. I've talked about this running game, how important it was going to be this year. 5th in success rate, 4th in EPA per rush, 9th in yards per carry at 5.1. Actually, that surprises me. It surprises me at 5.1 yards per carry. There's 8 teams out there better than that. But number 1 in the NFL at yards before contact, which is probably the most impressive out of all those, because 2 years ago with Dalvin Cook, that yards before contact was one of the worst in the league. And the last year with Madison, it was also bottom 5. So, yeah, I said this on the postcast. Like, you tell me before the game they were going to outrush the 49ers 146-102 and do it with one less carry, I just would have been pleasantly surprised. I probably would have told you they have a really good shot to win the game. So, yeah, just kind of bigger picture. I just think this run game is so important. You bring in Sam Darnold. You want to make things easier. You want to make things simple as possible for him. Put him in good, manageable positions. You want to make sure he doesn't have to, like, shoulder the entire load of the offense every week. Part of that equation, obviously, is giving him a run game. And through these 2 weeks, man, light years more efficient on a down-to-down basis than we ever saw these last 2 years.
Yeah, like the Vikings answering all of the skepticism that we had about 2 years of bad run game seems to be solved, and a secondary that hadn't played together seems to be solved. Has there been one mention through 2 weeks of Stephon Gilmore, Shaq Griffin, or Byron Murphy? No, like they're just there doing their jobs.
Yep. Just zoning off and
haven't talked about
when there are big catches, like they did move the ball on this secondary, but they found holes in the zone, so it's not like cleanly someone's fault that we can go, that guy's the problem.
I think there's like over the past 2 weeks, one play where I'm like, I think Byron Murphy effed that up. It was like a 25, 22 yard or something like that. But I mean, that's like pretty low given the amount of skepticism.
You say, was that
we've all
yesterday
had
or week 1?
Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah. But it's like, okay. And I'm not counting like I don't know if I want to call it garbage time, but like the Vikings were like, hey, you can have the middle of the field. That's going to chew up a bunch of clock. And then, you'll kick your little field goal or whatever, and then we'll recover the onside kick. Like that one was, they just gave up completion after completion, basically intentionally. So I'm not holding that one against anything.
Just needed it to take long enough.
Yeah. And one of the biggest plays I thought they had through the air yesterday was Ivan Pace, like totally getting lost in center field. I think he was supposed to pick up Samuel and did not do it, to say the least. But otherwise, keeping everything in front, nothing over the top. I don't think they've given up a pass play more than 30 yards yet this year. Really, really good stuff. Luke Braun, have you nerded out yet with a stat?
I gave you one, but it was kind of the same as yours, so I went and quick looked up another one. How about this? Yards per play differential between on the field and off the field for all the defenders. So yards per play with them on and yards per play with them off.
I like this.
Which one has the highest difference in their favor? The best split between the offense couldn't move the ball. This is just the one game when they were on the field versus when they were off.
I'm going to assume that there's like a run influence here, so I'm just going to go sideways and say Taki.
It's Taki.
Oh my God! Yeah.
It's Taki Taimani. I mean, there's clearly a sample size thing going on here.
Yeah.
Right.
8 run snaps. He got the tackle on 2 of them. Half a yard per play on those 8 snaps. 5.8 yards per play with him off. The difference is that I think there was some goal line stuff with Byron Murphy off the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Byron Murphy was not on the field for those
Who's the
ones.
next? Yeah, who's the next?
The next goes to Jonah Williams. And then Pat Jones, who I think probably gets the title for the best player against the run. He got 2 run stuffs, 2 yards per play with him on the field, and there's actually more than there's actually 10 run snaps and a bunch of pass snaps too. Yeah.
My nerdy stat was that Brock Purdy has 5 regular season losses. In 4 of them, the 49ers scored exactly 17 points. And the other one was 19. It was so close.
Oh. So close. A damn safety.
That's like scoregami somehow. Like
right, like a reverse score. Like it's a curse,
exactly.
Really.
Yeah. We already had a scoregami this year. I think it was the Monday night game, Niners last week, 32-19. I wondered about.
I think
Chiefs
we had
Bengals,
one. I think the Saints Cowboys was one too.
Really?
Yeah, that makes sense. Saints are like
Mike
good?
Zimmer humbled
Saints are good.
significantly in game 2. Let's all right, we've
Saints
reached the
have scored
point.
on every offensive possession that they've had.
That was wild.
Holy smokes. Derek Carr is
Have they
literally
punted?
12
Have they
yards
punted?
per pass attempt right now.
No.
It's
No.
gaudy.
Luke.
Hope nobody bet against them.
Derek Carr, quarterback efficiency through 2 weeks minus tonight's Monday Night Football game. Derek Carr, number 1 in the NFL, plus 0.56.
I don't think the football game tonight is going to change that.
Yeah, probably not.
Like maybe
Probably
Jalen Hurt, but I doubt it.
Yeah, Derek Carr, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, number 5 in the NFL.
Yeah.
The Vikings are 2-0, which means it's time to re-predict their season record. That's going to be today's 4-minute drill.
Start the clock. It's time to execute the 4-minute drill.
I'll just cut that off early. All right, I believe we went with 6-10-1. Braun 6-10-1. Was that your prediction? I was 6-11.
That sounds like something stupid that I would do. Yeah.
Arif was maybe 8-8-1 or 7.
Yeah, 8-8-1.
8-1. Inman missed our prediction show, but I'm guessing you were somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah, 7 and 10. I kept going back and forth about that over/under win total. Some sites had it at 6.5, but it was really bad value. Some had it at 7.5, but yes, I was at 7 and 10.
Inman, why don't you kick us off with a re-prediction now of the Vikings record?
Well, I think
17-0.
17. Honestly, I asked Ron this yesterday. I was looking at the schedule. Luke knows what I'm going to say. I can't find a loss on the schedule, you guys. I can't find it. No, so much of like what made it hard for me to give them a winning season was because the schedule was so tough these first 6-7 games. I just kept thinking to myself, if they get out of the gate slow and start 0-2, 0-3, they might be one of the last teams in the league to win their first game. Like that's just how daunting of a gauntlet of a schedule that was. And I think that all goes back to like all the question marks we had as far as just we had no idea what it was all going to look like this year. So many different moving pieces and variables, brand new quarterback for the first time in 6-7 years. No Danielle Hunter. Hawkinson was going to be out a handful of games. It just felt like there were so many questions that a slow start was more than plausible. And now that they start 2-0, you start to do the math in your head. You start to figure out, okay, how do they get to double-digit wins? It looks like one of the better teams in the league so far through 2 weeks anyway, still a small sample size. But I think 10-7 now is very plausible at this point if you go game by game and just look at the rest of the landscape of the league. But again, small sample, a lot can happen from now to then. We know in this league week to week, a few injuries here or there, all of a sudden things can look a lot different.
Braun.
Well, it's clear that I am not smarter than Vegas based on the gambling results here. The Vegas line, the FanDuel line, has moved to 9.5 from 7.5 at the beginning of the season, which is kind of funny. Like, did Vegas expect the Vikings to? No, they didn't. They were favored in that game. I don't know, but I guess they're just that much better. The 2 games better now. So 9-7-1. I'm keeping the tie. They still have all kinds of tie vibes.
Yeah.
Arif.
No, I'm there too. Obviously, keep the tie. It's the Vikings. They're weird.
Yeah, they did something
10-6-1.
very weird needs to happen.
Yeah, no, 10-6-1. Tie's going to be against an awful team.
Yeah, like the
truly
Chicago Bears.
Oh my God, that does kind of fit though.
At Soldier. Yeah. 12
Oh
to
yeah,
12.
no, the white, in the new whiteout jerseys.
Oh, the whiteouts.
Ooh, God, tying in the whiteouts, Jesus. But yeah, 10-6-1. Obviously, a better team than I thought they would be. I am worried about some sustainability things. Sam Darnold has a really low success rate. Given his EPA per play. So, there's some games that are going to be a little volatile, go the other way. But yeah, 10-6-1.
Ooh, James Kunow says we're tying the Titans.
Oh,
That's-
God, that's
that's
somehow
a good-
more
a
cursed.
good one.
Yeah,
Hideous.
incredible.
Absolutely hideous. I'm going to improve them by 3 games as well. I'm going to go 9-8. And it could be better, but I got to be careful. You're always invincible when you're 2-0, and until you're not. There's a lot. It's a long season, but I look at the schedule.
Has
and now
any
that we-
2-0 team ever lost a game the rest of the season, Sam?
No,
Yeah, okay. I don't know what you're talking about then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like we said, the 2016 team that was 2-0, they were 5-0, and I can't remember what happened after that, but I mean, they
That's
just
probably
kept on
fine.
winning.
Nothing. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Probably went well.
Don't worry about it.
I think now the fact that you've already stolen one game that you weren't supposed to, and you've got a great chance to steal one at Lambeau, because I don't believe that the Malik Willis not throwing the ball ever trick is going to work week to week. I think that is super winnable now.
Not against Pat Jones in run defense.
Right. Yeah,
He had like 4 completions at halftime or something crazy like that.
4 of 5 at half,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Just
worried because I
absurd.
had like a Dontavian Wicks over, and I was like, oh, crap. Like it was a reception over. I was like, Jesus. I hit it though.
You hit it though.
Yeah, I was sweating. 4 completions.
Oh my God, Josh Jacobs ran 32 times.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was
Correct.
crazy.
So
Malik
And
Willis
I
ran
had-
6 times and dropped back 14
I had
times.
Jaden Reed rush plus reception on Prize Picks, and I think all of them came on the ground by the time he hit the mark. I think eventually he got a reception. but
Well,
it was just
Marshawn
like-
Lloyd got hurt, right? Jacobs' his backup.
Lloyd,
He got
I
hurt,
don't think
so
Lloyd's
like-
played yet.
Dark
Sad.
moment for the Colts,
Yeah.
by the way. To lose to a clearly broken, like, half of an offense.
Hey man, we all get Joe Webbed. It happens.
Yeah.
Well,
That's getting
let's-
Josh Dobbsed. Like,
And I know we're going off of 2 games per team here, but you look at Indy, they're on the schedule. That doesn't look as formidable. Jacksonville doesn't look formidable at all. Chicago,
Yeah.
Caleb Williams does not look formidable. Like the toughest game after the bye.
Lions.
You look obviously. I think Detroit probably figures something out. Arizona might be a little tough, but that's at home.
Yeah,
the
Arizona looks
3-game
good.
road trip. None of those teams.
when do we get Arizona? Because if it's after week 8, I'm not worried. They always
Okay,
fall.
it is. It is after.
But
week
no, but they
eight.
don't have Cliff anymore.
Yeah, it's still kind of a Kyler thing. The stink is
December
still there.
1st.
I haven't seen it from Kyler for a full season. You're right.
December 1st. So there's a path here. There's a path for the Vikings to get hot, and they're already in very good position, I think, to have a winning record at the bye, which nobody anticipated.
Yeah,
And the
that's
schedule
crazy.
Yeah.
It's manageable.
This is why strength of schedule stuff is always dumb. We always do this every year before the season. We do the same
I
thing
buy
that
in.
Inman was just
I
talking
I buy
about.
in
Like,
just as much as anybody.
the 49ers and then the Texans, they're going to be 1-4. It's just like, you're picking 5 games at once.
Yeah.
Like, do a parlay if you're that sure.
No,
they're not going to be favored in a lot of games.
I will.
That doesn't
admit,
mean they can't
I
go
get
win them,
way-
and that doesn't mean
yeah.
that teams can't fall apart or be better than we think or worse than we think. Like, the league changes so much year to year. Who you think is good in May is nothing.
You saying that people shouldn't be listening to the podcast in May?
Not if we're talking about strength of schedule. We didn't earn that.
We didn't earn
We didn't earn that.
Hey, Braun, let's talk about our gambling picks. In week 2,
We don't have to.
again, we started with 1,000 mythical dollars. I was the leader heading into week 2. Inman right behind me. Arif in third. Braun was 0 for 2, and the O remains. Luke Braun goes 0 for 2 again. The last year's loser is not off to a great start. You're 0 for 4. You lose on the Cowboys spread and Aaron Jones anytime touchdown because he got knocked out at the 1-yard line.
Wow.
Just, yeah, like in the most frustrating way possible. Like, surely Micah Parsons against a famously suspect O-line will be able to make some things. Nope, 44-19. And then, yeah, Aaron Jones on the 1.
Should have checked.
Had the Ravens last week lost that by a toe. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
That's so dirty. Ah, that's so dirty.
Man, I was upset because I needed Sam Darnold to throw for like 2 more yards to hit my over so I could be 4-0, but sounds like Luke is a little bit more frustrated.
And he has reason to be.
It's okay.
He
When
is
I
the
actually
last-
use my own money, I'm doing much better.
Oh yeah.
I'm having a great year
Of
of actual,
course.
like, betting. But in this competition specifically.
The rest of us are in profit. I went 1-1. I did lose my big one, my anti-Watson bet. The Jags stink, but I did get my plus 144 Darnold over 1.5 touchdowns. So
Nice.
I am $1,014.50. Arif 2-0. Nice little minimum bet week for
Clean up
you.
a little bit,
Jefferson
yeah.
anytime TD. Giants Commanders under both hit. You are at $1,045 and change. But the leader's Luke Inman. He goes 1-1. Hitting the Steelers spread and missing out on the Johnny Munt anytime TD, which they tried to do on the halfback
They tried to
pass.
do it, man.
They did. They
Luke, I feel your
did.
pain. No, I know what Luke's saying. Like in real life, I'm not putting a single real dollar on Johnny Munt anytime touchdown. I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's let it ride, baby. Absolutely. Yeah, we were close. We were close.
We'll make our Week 3 bets on Thursday. That's the next time we will convene. Luke Braun, great daily Vikings content, Locked on Vikings. Check it out. The audio of this show on the Locked on Vikings podcast feed. Luke Inman handling the postcast. Twins are trying to squander their playoff hopes away. Get all the reaction with Luke on the postcast there. Arif Hasan, Wide Left Substack. Subscribe there. Great show today. Thank you for the commentary in the chat. We appreciate it. We appreciate the wit, the snark, the petty arguments that we all get in. It's great. We love you. Thanks a lot for watching the Minnesota Football Party. Talk to you on Thursday.